You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host this hour. We're going to be talking to Joe Biggs and our reporters in Chicago. They're at the reported site of a black interrogation site, a dark interrogation site where there are charges that people have been held without being charged with a crime, just like the NDAA. Charges that they have been tortured, that they have, some of them alleged even have died there. So we're going to be talking to Joe Biggs. There was a protest there yesterday. I want to talk to him about that, as well as the way that it's being covered in the local press in Chicago, because it looks like they're pushing back on this and covering somewhat for the police department there. Of course, we know that Obama and Rahm Emanuel knew that this was going on. This has been going on for quite some time. It's tied back to the war on drugs, and of course, it is also tied to Gitmo. That's how The Guardian found this site. They were actually investigating Gitmo torture. I want to go to that, but I want to finish up with what I was talking about with these black box recorders that are put in your cars. This is something that they've been gradually adding for the last 20 years. It goes back to 1994, the first cars, first a few American car manufacturers and a couple of models started putting these devices in. Gradually, they started adding additional models. Other manufacturers came in and started adding it gradually. But as of September of last year, 2014, all new cars and light trucks and vans and SUVs sold in the U.S. will be equipped with one of these data recorders. And of course, they can store everything that you're doing. Approximately 5 seconds before an accident, they will go back and back this up. It's going to record your vehicle speed, your throttle position, your brake application, your engine speed, and your velocity change through the collision. But of course, there's other aspects of this they'll be able to do as well. They might have sensors alongside the road that if your exhaust is above a certain level, maybe they will shut you down and make you limp back home. That's also built into these devices. There's a lot of different ways they can use this. They're going to use it to charge us by the mile, as well as the taxes that they put into our gasoline. And they are going to use it to drive you from behind the steering wheel to make sure that computer-driven, government-controlled cars are going to be the norm. They will turn driving your car into a hobby at the track. You will not be able to use it for transportation, and that's something that should concern all of us, because this goes beyond just total surveillance and taxation. This impinges upon our very ability to move about in a country. Now, along that line, there was an article up on Friday on Infowars.com, why your smartphone records everything you say to it. Guess what? We know that it's recording us, but did you know that according to the terms of service, Google, Apple, Microsoft, all these companies, not just Samsung, they're recording your voice commands and saving them for up to 2 years. And as we pointed out in this article, often these recordings are not encrypted. So they're potentially vulnerable to hackers, and the recordings will capture personal conversations as well as legitimate commands. So if you use your phone to speak into it for voice recognition, it's going to grab that. It may be listening to you all the time, just like your Samsung devices, and recording that for the manufacturers to go through, not just for the NSA. Of course, we should all be concerned about that. Now, before we go to Joe in Chicago, I want to give you a little idea of how The Guardian tracked this down to this black site. One of the first reports that they had, going back to the 18th of February, said that they were looking at Gitmo torturing, and they found a longtime detective from Chicago. They found that his tactics had been exported from Chicago to Guantanamo. So you see, Guantanamo torture has its roots in Obama's Chicago. The guy's name is Richard Zuley. He's a detective on Chicago's North Side. He worked from 1977 to 2007, 30 years. His record, they say, suggests a continuum between police abuse in urban America and the wartime detention scandals at Gitmo, because he was brought there as a U.S. Navy Reserve lieutenant. Now, we're running up to the time break. We're going to continue with this as we come back. I'll lead into this, and we're going to go to Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs, retired in Chicago at this site. We're going to talk to him about what he's seeing there. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems and enhance overall health. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation, a highly advanced nutraceutical form of this key herb that has been traditionally used by civilizations for thousands of years to promote health. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market, sourced from top leading manufacturers to ensure a concentrated level of bioactive ingredients, extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules. You will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Wild crafted from the Mediterranean oregano species that experts agree is one of the most powerful and most challenging to acquire. This winter season, it's more important than ever to secure this true form of oil of oregano. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
With your friends.
KLN, Los Angeles. Clone Radio. We play the songs that sound more like everyone else than anyone else. Clone.
Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. The Republic will rise again when you attempt to take our guns.
I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man.
The answer to 1984 is 1776. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Welcome back to The Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host today. We're going to be going to our reporters in Chicago at what has been reported by The Guardian as being and they've talked to several witnesses who've given this information, as well as several lawyers, saying people are being held there without being charged, without being arraigned. They were being held there for a very long time, some of them tortured. There's allegations that people have died from this site. And so we're going to talk to our reporters what they saw yesterday at the demonstration and what they see today. As I was pointing out in the last segment, this has a connection to Gitmo. It was actually in the investigation of Gitmo that The Guardian found this site. Specifically, they were looking at a Chicago detective, Richard Zuley, who had worked for 30 years in Chicago as a detective and then was a U.S. Navy reservist, a lieutenant. And he went to Gitmo, and they say that what he did there has severely damaged the reputation of the United States. That's putting it mildly. It has severely damaged the rule of law in this country, and it has gone far beyond just our reputation. Now, they point out that this man is currently under investigation for 2 wrongful convictions. In one of these wrongful convictions, it was a 2013 decision by the state's attorney, Anita Alvarez. She freed an innocent man, they say, that Zuley's faulty police work sent to prison for 23 years. Letheriel Boyd was convicted in 1990 of murder. He accuses Zuley in a federal civil rights lawsuit of planting evidence and withholding crucial details. Now, this guy went on to work at Gitmo as a Navy reservist, and what he did there was participate in one of the most highly profiled torture cases against a man named Slahi. Inmates said that they confessed untruthfully in order to try and stop the treatments by this fellow Zuley. And Mark Fallon, the former deputy commander of Gitmo's now shuttered investigative task force, this is what The Guardian says, said that what he did was illegal, it was immoral, it was ineffective, and it was unconstitutional. Nevertheless, this is what's been going on in Chicago for some time. And of course, Obama and Rahm Emanuel knew about it. This was something that has been going on in the Chicago Police Department. Nothing was done about it. Right now, let's go to our reporters in the area. Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs retired, and Josh Owens is working as cameraman. Let's go to Joe Biggs. Joe?
Joe Biggs here with Infowars.com. We are actually in downtown Chicago, out near the pier. We kind of wanted to show you what global warming has done as well. The frozen lake, or actually that's just an illusion. It's not really there. It's a nice, sunny, warm day out here at the lake. People are laying out and enjoying the sun.
Now, you guys did a very good video that's up on InfoWars, kind of summarizing what happened at the demonstrations yesterday and people's comments about that. Joe, I want to play a little bit about a little bit of that report, just the area where people are commenting at the demonstration. Guys, can you roll that tape? And then I want to get with you, Joe, and talk about that.
Okay.
When you're torturing somebody, it affects them for the rest of their life. When you're torturing an innocent person, that's worse, or trying to force somebody to give information, he's going to lie. He's not going to give you the facts because he just wants to stop being hurt. And to hide a facility like this, and what they're doing is they're hiding it in rural, down neighborhoods where nobody would think of looking for it.
The worst thing was it had to be someone from The Guardian, where the blank was our medium.
Yeah.
I mean, I frankly tend to get my news from the internet now. I mean, I don't trust the media anymore.
I was livid. I was absolutely livid when I heard all this. The anger, it just kind of swells, and it just let you know you got to be able to do something. And coming out here today and raising awareness to this, what is actually happening is I guess the route to go right now.
I always quote this phrase from Carlin, George Carlin. You know, there's a club and you ain't in it.
And there's a high school right next door to this place. I mean, and to have torture going on next to where we're educating the next generation of gatekeepers is sad.
This is their community just as it is ours, and I hope, you know, that they keep that in mind and really take a hard look at some of these policies that are coming down from the federal government and being instituted here at the state level, the local level, and because, you know, at the end of the day, they're the last line of defense between us and this sorts of tyranny that we're seeing here today.
All right, that's just a short excerpt from this report that you'll find up on Infowars.com. An excellent report that you and Josh Owens put together. I would suggest people take a look at all that. But, Joe, one of the things that really stuck out to me about that, and, of course, there was a lot of very amazing things that were said later on in that report about how they treat people. But that lady said, where is our press? Where's our media? We had to get somebody from the UK to come over here and report on this. And she said, I don't trust them anymore. I get my news from the internet. Let me read you, Joe, and get some of your reactions to the headlines that we're seeing there. Of course, we've got a radio station there, WBEZ 91.5, saying in the past few years, reporters and other journalists have been to the facility for tours and interviews as well as press conferences. And it's essentially show and tell, where the police will show a huge amount of drugs they've seized in various cases. You have a lot of media there and television cameras. But then the Guardian reporter says, look, it wasn't a mischaracterization. That's the headline of the article, saying that calling it a black site was a mischaracterization. He says, you can find certain black sites like this in Romania and Poland that are out in the open. It's not the visibility of a facility. It's what goes on in the facility that makes it secret. That's exactly true, Joe. I mean, how absurd is that the press would say, well, I didn't see anything when I was there, so of course it didn't happen. We just had a case in New York, a guy who had a factory that made maraschino cherries, and he had a massive pot operation going in the same factory. And of course, the power usage and the and the fact that the cherries were there with a very pungent smell covered up any detection of the pot operation. Nobody knew about it but him and a couple of other guys, and that's exactly what's going on at this black site.
Well, exactly. That's when I spoke with the defense attorney, Anthony Hill, the one who basically, you know, brought the story to the Garden, the confirmation about what's really going on in there. That's one of the things he told me. He said, I was telling people about this, and they would all kind of joke and be like, are you serious? Like yesterday, we just had a conference over there, press conference. I didn't see anyone getting tortured. And he goes, yeah, but there's still 4 more floors above your head. It's a 5-story building. You know, we have these reports of people in there that are being held. They can hear other people screaming in there as well. So it's amazing that there's this huge blackout in the media. You know, people are joking about it. They're saying that, yeah, that it's being mischaracterized. You know, even the cops that were out there were just coming up and going, oh, this is a black site, huh? Guantanamo, yeah. Okay, that's funny. And they would just walk off and laugh and go back into the building. So, I mean,
I think it's pretty amazing. We've got the way MSNBC covered it, Joe, as they said, the Chicago Police Department speaks on the Homan Square facility. They put the press